Hello and welcome to this special video profile of Riverside Recycling, also known more popularly as Riverside Scrap Iron and Metal Corporation, a company with a long history of service in Southern California. My name is Jeff Allen and I'm pleased to chat with Mr. Danny Frankel, the president of Riverside Recycling, about his company and why it continues to be the recycler of choice for so many businesses and consumers. And Danny, it's nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Thank you so much
Jeff.
for joining us.
My pleasure.
Riverside Recycling is celebrating a big occasion really this year. You folks have been around a long time and you're celebrating that.
We're celebrating our 60th anniversary in Riverside. I'm proud to say that we've been at the same location for the entire 60 years, and it's an exciting birthday.
Danny, for many people who may know what recycling is, they take for granted that recycling companies recycle aluminum cans or maybe they're plastic milk jugs or something like that, but your company is all-encompassing. You're into a lot of different things, a lot of different materials. Give us kind of an idea of what it is.
I'm a full-service metal recycling and metal processing plant, which means that we take all types of metal, plastic, as well as some paper grades.
Danny, your company serves two different markets, your wholesale and your retail markets.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit, first of all, let's break those down. Your wholesale market, talk about the types of industries, companies that would do business from a wholesale perspective.
Okay. When we talk wholesale in my business, it's heavy manufacturing, building, making products, having leftovers from whatever construction, whatever building, whatever manufacturing. We service those industries. They are those that come to us, ask for our services. Some we solicit. There are bids that we bid on, government bids, manufacturing bids. So in essence, we have the equipment to place on site where the customer can put their recyclables in bins that we can bring into our plant and exchange and further process. We have people that can help with the demolition. We bring out our own people with torches. We assist it with forklifts, and we can do a full job of whatever's required of us. We have the manpower, we have the equipment, and we have the knowledge.
Now let's talk a little bit about your retail market, those retail businesses that take advantage of Riverside Recycling services.
Typically the retail customers, they bring their recyclables to us. They are usually consistent of small business, people who generate in a machine shop, restaurants, bars, smaller businesses that accumulate scrap and bring it in themselves. They're not large enough for us to come out and service them with containers and other services that we supply to the larger companies. So if you were a builder, a contractor, a plumber, an electrician, many times you'll come into the plant, we'll unload you, help you sort your scrap, and we'll pay you on the spot.
Would that also include those businesses that are involved in automotive services, repair shops and machine shops and things like that?
Many types of machine shops, small retailers, auto body shops that produce smaller amounts of scrap. Yes, and they will gather whatever they have. They gather it in their shops and bring it into our recycling center, and we weigh it, process it, and pay them for their materials.
Let me ask you a question. I'm kind of curious about, you talked about restaurants and bars, and you often think that because business is so fast and furious in there, and they're serving up beverages and bottles and things like that, and recyclable containers, that a lot of that stuff tends to go in the trash. Do you get the sense that that is an area, a retail industry that may not take advantage of recycling as a way that they could save on costs?
Jeff, definitely. I believe that many bars and restaurants, those type of businesses, they do not realize the value of the scrap that they are either throwing away or having it picked up by their their garbage people. So yes, there's a very much of an opportunity for the bars and restaurants to make revenue and through recycling.
It would seem to me that you could be talking about as much as hundreds of dollars, and if you're a chain of restaurants, maybe even thousands of dollars at the end of the year in that kind of return. And I understand that maybe part of that retail business would be the consumer sector and folks who may not necessarily want their municipal or trash companies to pick up their scrap and recycling, but bring that in for cash back. Is that right?
Sure. Churches, PTA, Boys, Girl Scouts, many organizations collect aluminum cans, collect glass, plastic containers, and it's revenue for them. And they bring it in, and many times they're surprised at how much money is generated to their scout troops and to their organizations. And it's become a very much of a fundraiser for those groups, as well as the people that just come in to the recycling center with copper, brass, aluminum, stainless steel, plastic, and scrap iron and metal.
Let's say for just a second that I am a client. I've come to you for the first time. I picked up the phone, just set it down, and we're interested in having you come out. I could be the owner of a machine shop, perhaps, or maybe I could be. Let's say I'm a developer, a contractor. I'm out on site. I've got a commercial building project I'm working on. This is going to be maybe a 6 or 8 month project potentially. And I call your company out, and I've got some material that I need you to pick up on a regular basis. Walk me through the steps on kind of how that works. You've got an arrangement now to work with a new client. How does that happen?
How that happens is the customer will call us. They need recycling services. They know that they have scrap. They're going to be generating excess copper and brass, insulated, aluminum, all types of metal on a long-term job. So what we would do is we would go out, we would assess the needs of the customer. We would walk through their construction, and we help them to identify the areas of where they can get the largest return for the scrap that they're producing. How to sort so that things are not mixed up. The materials need to be separated, and we also assess the needs of container services. We have all different kinds of containers. We have our forklifts, or the customer has a forklift. We can assist them in any way of ultimately bringing them the most dollars for their recyclables.
And I think that's a key point, simply from a financial perspective. We're talking about savings that could be significant. Really, when it comes to a company potentially down the line at the end of the year, at the end of their project, aren't we? I mean,
that's a very good question, Jeff. Actually, there are many customers who we have dealt with for many, many years, and they tell us that their scrap recycling program is the difference between profit and loss for them. Wow. That's how much potential money is generated by recycling their excess product.
But the cost of not of doing business with a recycling company such as Riverside Recycling, for example, it could also be tremendous, not only in terms of financial, but in terms of cost of the environment too.
Well, absolutely, it's the cost of the environment, because the people who are not recycling will most assuredly fill up their trash containers and their trash receptacles with which is the valuable scrap. So when it's picked up, it's taken to a landfill and it's buried. So the customer not only loses the value of the scrap, they're also paying for the fees to have the material hauled away by their trash companies.
Which is, so you're talking about fees on top of that, on top of regular trash pickup, you're talking about fees to go through and haul away those otherwise recyclable items that they could reclaim in terms of cost, costing them actually more money, almost a multiplying type of effect.
It is. There's a very large multiplier. There's a very large multiplier involved. So not only are they missing the money from the recyclables themselves, they're paying to have the material hauled away, and it's lost in landfills where it's not recycled many times.
Now, your company having been in business now for 60 years, you've seen, no doubt, a lot of accomplishments. You've had a lot of things to be proud of over the years, and your company has grown quite a bit. So you have a few different locations to serve folks in Southern California, right? Let's talk about those.
That's correct. We have a location in Orange County. There's a location in San Bernardino County and 2 others in Riverside County that are recycling centers that feed into our main plant.
Let's talk about some of the accomplishments. What have you seen? What has changed over that time, over 60 years? What was your company doing most of or really involved in 60 years ago that either maybe it's not involved in as much now, or what other areas have you gone into? Where have you seen your growth?
We've seen our growth on now a worldwide basis. That the scrap that's produced in the west coast of the United States is more that can be consumed by the local mills, smelters, etc. So it's important that we do have this ability to export metal. We have been the exporter of the year for Riverside County, which is quite a feather in our cap. So we have consumers all over the world, whereas 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it was a smaller community. The consumers were here in Southern California.
And really, the whole green movement, which the word green, I mean, maybe that will continue to be part of the great American lexicon in terms of being eco-friendly, and it'll continue to be that way. The whole green movement kind of sweeping the world. You benefited from that. Was there a point where you could see when that terminology started coming into vogue a few years back? Did you start to see an influx of new business? Were you starting to see things improve in certain areas? For example, maybe your consumer-based part of your business?
The simple answer to that is we've been green when green wasn't popular.
It wasn't cool, huh?
Where it wasn't cool. We've been recycling resources, as we talked, for 60 years. I believe what opened the imagination to your general public was Earth Day in the early 1970s. And it opened all of our eyes to the amount of consumption that we have, the need to conserve resources, the need to recycle. And it's grown from that important realization from the early years of the Earth Day that has made the consumer and all of us more aware of recycling and being green.
Danny, obviously there are a lot of businesses like Riverside Recycling, may not necessarily be like it, but a lot of recycling companies that have popped up in recent years and long after you folks were already on the scene. So there's some competition out there. Why should I consider calling upon Riverside Recycling for my recycling and scrap metal?
Well, those recyclers, being small recyclers, they in turn sell their product to me. I have access to worldwide consumption. They don't. They're not able to export. They're not able to deliver materials to local consumers. So they would bring their materials to me. So it would behoove businesses to come to us because moving materials to a smaller recycler would result in smaller revenue. By doing business with Riverside Recycling, I can assure you that you would get the largest dollar revenue and the quickest service and the immediate payment that you need. So I would encourage you to visit our website, call us if you have any questions. We would be happy to come out and give you a survey on your scrap needs.
Well, Danny Frankel, president of Riverside Recycling, 60 successful years, your current location, and then you've grown. Congratulations on all the success, and much good luck to you in the future.
Thank you very much for having me. I would just like to say that we would be delighted to remain in the community, be of service to our customers as we have for the past 60 years. We're looking forward to the future.
That's Danny Frankel, president of Riverside Recycling. If you'd like to learn more about Riverside Recycling and how they can help you, feel free to contact Danny or anyone on the Riverside Recycling team by calling 951-686-2129. That's 951-686-2129. Or you can visit their website at riversidemetalrecycling.com. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Allen.